Mike is Air Force. Theresa is Army. Not that there's any competitive spirit between that at all. But here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask them a series of questions. If the answer is Theresa, then Mike and Theresa are going to hold up high in the air the Army tank. Hold that up, Theresa. That's the tank. Make sure you can see it's over. And then if the answer is Mike, they are going to hold up, and what jet is this, Mike? The F-22 jet, representing the Air Force. So we're going to find out just how well you know each other for the next couple of minutes. This is the Newlywed Game. All right, let's see how you guys do. Some of these I can't even imagine there's going to be a real answer to, but let's try this one. Who's more likely to lose their temper? He agreed with you. Who's more likely to wear purple? Who's more likely to win an argument? Oh! All right, let me ask it this way. If you were to have an argument, I know it's far-fetched. If you were to have an argument, which one of you would be most likely afterwards to say, "I'm sorry"? Now, let me ask this follow-up to that. Which one of you in that same scenario probably should say, "I'm sorry"? No, he agreed. Which one of you is more likely to do the laundry? Well, we have good news for both of you. Which one of you is a better driver? Okay, I'll be honest. She couldn't even sell that one to herself. Oh my gosh, that's really funny. So this one came up several times, so I guess we have to ask it. Which one of you is more likely to wear the pants in the family? Which one of you is better with money? Who usually carries more cash? That seems like a bad idea based on the previous response. Who will control the television remote control? So you're saying she tells you which buttons to push? I think that's a fair compromise. I'm pushing the buttons. Fine. Push my button. All right, how about in the car? Who gets to control the radio station? Mike, you got to tell the truth here. She was fast. All right. Which one of you has more hair? It didn't start out well, Mike, but it ended well. After a workout, who's the smelliest? All right, one more question. This is important. Think about this answer. Don't get this wrong. Who do you love most in the entire world right now? Very nice. Congratulations, Mike and Theresa. We're going to have you go back over here to your table. For the next few minutes, for Mike and Theresa, this is their love story. Although they spent most of their childhoods thousands of miles apart, Terry in the Philippines and Mike in Michigan, they were more alike than different. Both loved playing outdoors, where the most common question at Terry's house was, "Where's Terry?" Which I'm told up until just very recently her family was still asking a lot. As a teenager, Terry moved back to California, and Mike stayed in Michigan through college, even working in HR for the Detroit Pistons. And while it was cool to work for an NBA team, he hated human resources. He had earned his degree in liberal studies, and he knew he did not want a career in HR. Now, Theresa graduated early from high school to get a head start on college, and then she attended Sac State for 9 years. 9 years of college.
You know, a lot of people go to college for 7 years.
I know. They're called doctors.
But she did finally graduate in 2011 with her degree in criminal justice. She also earned a degree in intelligence operations and then enlisted in the United States Army National Guard. Now, Mike went a different route before graduating. He, like his brother Alex, enlisted in the United States Air Force. And he got a job as an intelligence analyst. He went to basic training in August of 2010 and graduated with honors. Meanwhile, Theresa continued her career in the intelligence field. During her last year of college, which would have been her 9th, she got lucky and found a job that opened doors for her. She had moved to St. Louis for this job, which lasted 8 months until her contract ended. But she had a big brother out there, a mentor, who revamped her resume and encouraged her to apply for a job at Beale. Now, initially, Theresa didn't want to apply for this job because she really didn't want to return to California, but he convinced her to do it. Had he not done that, Mike and Theresa would never have met, and none of us would be here today. Not only is he here today for the wedding, his 2 daughters were the flower girls. That man is Vernon Funk, and Theresa is very grateful. Vernon, take a bow. Well done, Vernon. And so, in February of 2012, Mike was at work one day when he looked up and saw Theresa walk in. So he was immediately struck by her beautiful, long brown hair and just how cute she was. He immediately started asking everyone if they knew her name, her background, any kind of intelligence they might be able to share. Eventually, she came over to his work area, and he discovered that she would be working his shift. At this point, he... Draw your own conclusions. At this point, he knew her only as Ms. Shade, but he knew he wanted to know more. But she came over later to ask his boss about her upcoming evaluation, which every employee had to do before they could start working there, and Mike saw this as his opportunity to help. He introduced himself, and he volunteered his services to help during her evaluation. In fact, he made himself as available as possible to answer any questions she may have, really just any excuse to talk to her. After her successful evaluation, with her now working there full-time, Mike found himself excited to go to work every day just to see Theresa. Exactly. He did his best to flirt with her, but while they had a great work connection, his flirting didn't seem to be going so well. Well, about a month later, a few people from work were going to the movies together, and although he probably wouldn't normally have gone to this little outing with these folks, 2 of them are here. Would he have gone with you normally? No way. But when he found out Theresa was going, he was like, yeah, I want to go see that movie. What's playing? He arrived a few minutes late, but to his delight, found that there was an empty seat right next to Theresa. So even though it wasn't actually a date, it was a start. Now, Mike has this strange little thing he does where he likes to challenge people to do unusual things, and then he offers them money as a reward if they'll do it. Not long after that first movie, Mike offered one of his coworkers $20 if this guy could finish 6 Krispy Kreme donuts in 10 minutes. The guy accomplished the task easily, and back added a 7th for good measure, and Mike paid up. Now, Theresa told Mike that she loved Krispy Kremes, so he kept that little bit of intel in the back of his mind to use later. Now, Mike is very into exercise, and he's always willing to help anyone who wants to lose some weight. And since he had successfully in the past lost about 35 pounds himself, he was gung-ho. Theresa and Mike talked about some good exercises to do to get in shape, and always being helpful. He even offered to help work out with her, and she accepted. So then on April 16th last year, a bunch of friends went to a Giants game. And even though Mike and Theresa were really the only non-couple there, they still had a great time together. 3 days later, so if you're keeping track, that makes it April 19th, 2012, exactly 1 year ago today. And again with a group of friends, they went out to BJ's for dinner. Theresa turned the tables on Mike, offered him a challenge. The challenge was for him to eat an entire French dip sandwich with cheese. Mike hates cheese. He hates cheese. But she told him that if he would do it, she'd buy his dinner. Now, we're supposed to believe he was going to do that to get a free meal. I think he might have been trying to impress the girl. So he managed to mask the taste of the cheese with a ton of horseradish, and Theresa, good to her word, paid the bill. Nice job. Then after she had a full meal, plus a beer and a dessert, he bet her that she couldn't eat 10 Krispy Kreme donuts in 7.5 minutes. She took the dare, and they drove straight to Krispy Kreme, where Theresa ate 10 Krispy Kreme donuts in 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, Mike would like me to point out that even though she had all the donuts in her mouth at the 7-minute and 30-second deadline, she didn't get them all the way down until the 9-minute mark. So, that's a good point. Well, even though he paid the bet, he thinks he won on a technicality, and he's holding on to that. But he paid the bet. And here's the part I love. So let me see if I can understand this connection. Your weight loss plan, this is how you were going to help, is to eat dinner, dessert, beer, and then 10 Krispy Kremes. So what they learned through this little process, though, was that they just really had a great time together. The very next day, they went on their first solo date. It was a concert that they had originally scheduled a couple of weeks earlier, really strictly as a platonic outing. But things were changing between them very quickly. They met up in the morning, went for a jog. Good, now we're back to the weight loss part again. Did you jog by Krispy Kreme, or you just jog? Okay, good. Let's go for a jog. There's a Krispy Kreme. So they met up in the morning, went for a jog, headed to Berkeley, where they had a great dinner, and then before the concert, Theresa took Mike to Grizzly Point, which is this beautiful scenic view. So you got to picture this. It's sunset, very romantic. Although they had still not moved away from being platonic friends. So as they're taking in the sunset, Mike really, really wanted to put his arm around Theresa. But he did not have the courage. At some point during the evening, as they were walking from the train to the concert, they began holding hands. They didn't even realize when it happened, just they were now holding hands. At the concert, standing at the bar, just smiling at each other, Mike's crush on Theresa overcame his fears, and he made his move. He leaned in to kiss her, hoping with all his might that this was going to work. And he was quite happy. She kissed him back. From that point, it really did not take long at all for them to both fall in love. When Theresa went away for 3 weeks for her annual Army Guard training, every time they would hang up from the Skype, you saw a little Skype in there, they would both want to say, I love you, but they hadn't said it in person yet, and neither one of them wanted to say I love you for the first time on Skype. Didn't seem to be the right way to do it. But when Theresa returned in early July, they told each other that they were in love, and from that point on, this day became inevitable. At the end of August, they took a trip to the Navarre family condo on the beach in Orange Beach, Alabama. Mike had made a decision to propose to her on the first day there so that they could spend their entire vacation there as an engaged couple. They took a red-eye out to Florida, and then they drove to the Alabama condo. By the time they got there, it was a little after 9 a.m. Mike's plan was to propose at sunset. But they were exhausted from this trip. Red-eye and a long drive. So they decided to take a quick little nap at 9 a.m. They woke up at 6 p.m. When Mike looked outside and saw that it was raining, that was going to put a little damper on his plans, but he wasn't stopping now. He decided to go ahead and he told Theresa to put on something in which she wouldn't mind getting a little wet. He had devised this great plan, which included giving her 3 different cards. The first of which was a very playful little card, just to throw her off the track a little. It told her at the end of the card to go down to the pool area where he had planted the second card. They went down, found that card. Now this card was slightly more romantic, and it included a lot more of his feelings towards her. The third card was tucked into his waistband, and he was hiding the ring box in his pocket. He had to keep a hat over the ring box so that she wouldn't notice the ring box. The second card ended by telling her to walk to the beach, where she would read the third card, and by now the rain had stopped. And by now, she was beginning to think that maybe something was up. She's in intel, she's bright. 9 years you picked this stuff up. So the third card was very romantic. And as Theresa silently read the card, standing there on the beach, Mike waited patiently. The card told her that when she was done, she should look up at him and wink. When she looked up and winked, that was Mike's cue. And he dropped to one knee and he said, "This is my promise to you. I will be here for you when you're gone, and I will be here for you when you return. In fact, I will be here for you for the rest of my life. Terry, will you marry me?" Standing there on the beach, in front of the man that she loved so much, hands covering her mouth, shaking, nodding her head, yes, they threw their arms around each other, taking in the most incredible moment of their lives, and that moment led us to this one. Ladies and gentlemen, on their way to forever together, Mike and Theresa Navarre. Now, to offer the first toast this evening, it's my pleasure to bring up Theresa's uncle, Chuck, her godfather.
For those of you who haven't met me yet, I'm Charles and Terry's godfather, and I will try to fill the shoes of my late friend and colleague, Bill. That gives me the pleasure of making the first speech of the evening. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me speak to you attending here today, especially those of you who have endured a journey to get here. It's touching that you put that much effort to get here. We appreciate your travel. Distinguished guests, family, friends, relatives, young and old, friends of friends, let me extend a warm welcome to Mike's and Terry's wedding celebration. I'll be brief. Today, Terry made me a proud man. Seeing her looking so happy and beautiful is a truly fantastic experience. I did see some marriage advice by Jane Wells written in 1886 that I thought Mike and Terry would like. And it goes like this. Let your love be stronger than your hate or anger. Learn the wisdom of compromise, for it is better to bend a little than to break. Believe the best rather than the worst. People have a way of living up or down to your opinion of them. Remember that true friendship is the basis for any lasting relationship. The person you choose to marry is deserving of the courtesies and kindnesses you bestow upon your friends. And please hand this down to your children and your grandchildren. Hopefully that advice is a help. It's getting to be time for the next speaker, and I guess that's going to be the new father-in-law, Mike. The end of this for me is Terry and Mike, they say that you don't marry the person you can live with, you marry the person who you cannot live without. And ladies and gentlemen, please raise your glasses with me. Cheers to a wonderful and magical evening and a long life. God bless you both.
Thank you so much, Chuck. And now we turn the microphone over to Mike's father, Mike Sr.
Yes, I'm Michael's father, proud father of a very lucky groom. This is my story of how the two of them met, and it does have parallels with what Randy said. Michael joined the Air Force and left Michigan in August of 2010, landing in California in the spring of 2011. We stayed in touch almost daily by phone and Skype, so we learned of Theresa gradually through our talks. I remember quite well how Michael reacted to first seeing this girl as she walked through their office. He used the word, wow. That's a quote. As he told of her good looks, shiny hair and beautiful skin. And I agree. Although he downplayed his interest in her at the first time, saying things like, we just worked together, Vicky and I, my wife, suspected there was something more. Michael had told us how his office organized social events, and he would tell of his interactions with Theresa. Just small talk about things done and said. But an indication of who this girl was occurred when Michael told a funny story of Theresa acting on a dare or a bet, Krispy Kreme, consuming 10 Krispy Kreme donuts in 10 minutes. And she got it done. But this told me that she didn't take herself too seriously, could be goofy and laugh at herself, which is a delightful characteristic that relaxes all in her company. Me, my wife, and most importantly, Michael. One particular office outing was a baseball game, and Michael told us how he and Theresa left the group to take a walk and spent more time away from the group than with. A relationship had begun. From that point on, Miss Theresa was front and center in every call and every Skype. There was no more downplaying. Michael was clearly excited about this girl. And Vicky and I were happy that he was happy. And that brings us here today. We are thankful to God for bringing Terry into our family and for bringing friends and family, new and old, together today. I want to thank Michael and Terry for this generous celebration. So please join me by raising a glass and a toast to the bride and groom, wishing that wow continues to describe their reaction to each other and that laughter remains a constant, with or without donuts.
Thank you, Mike. We will turn the microphone over now to Mike's son and Mike's brother, depending on how you look at this, our best man, Alex.
On behalf of Mike and Theresa, I would like to thank you for attending this blessed event. I have the honor of acting as best man tonight, which means a lot to me. But when I really think about the words best man, I look nowhere else but to Mike. He's my brother and my best friend, and I couldn't be happier standing here today with him and his beautiful wife, which, by the way, Theresa, you look absolutely stunning tonight, and I think we all can agree on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, today has been an amazing occasion, and it is with a mixture of joy and relief that my speech draws to a close. Joy for you and a relief for me. So without further ado, let's raise our glasses and toast the new bride and groom. I want to wish the best to Michael and Theresa for a long and happy life together. That's all I got.
Thank you, Alex. And to offer the final toast this evening, we turn the microphone over to our maid of honor. Here's Natasha Bowen.
Okay, wow. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you guys so much for allowing me to be a part of this joyous occasion between the two of you. And I just want to thank you, Mike, for completing my best friend and being her heart and her joy and just making her so happy. Thank you so much. I love you guys, and I'm so happy to have you as a best friend as well. Thank you. And if you guys will all join me in lifting your glasses and raising a toast to my two best friends in the world.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down a road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a